Meta is launching a new app to rival Twitter called Threads. It follows months of turbulence at Twitter after Musk paid over the odds for the social media firm. Chief Executive of Gorilla HQ, Paul Spain, is with us this morning. Morena, Paul, thanks for being with us.
Morena.
Let's talk about first the changes that Twitter has recently made in terms of people having to pay for tweets.
Yes, so what we've seen is Musk saying that Twitter's hit some limits, some issues with capacity, and so they've wound down how many tweets an individual user can see, and that's slowly been rising over the last few days since it came into play. Apparently it's a short-term play, but those that are paying for Twitter are getting to see 10 times as many tweets as those that aren't. Now, as somebody that uses Twitter a little bit,
yep.
I haven't seen those limits and I'm not paying.
What's the outcry been like?
Look, I think, some people are just suggesting, look, this is another, nail in the coffin for Twitter. But yeah, when we look at it, Musk is saying, hey, no, Twitter's growing, and a lot of people are saying, no, we hate Twitter now.
Well, of course he would say that, wouldn't he? Okay, so now Meta. So you need to explain this to me, because we've got Twitter and now we've got Meta wanting to come in to use a similar platform.
Yeah, so Meta, who own Instagram and Facebook and WhatsApp, what they're doing is they're taking Instagram and they're putting a sort of a parallel app side by side with it in a way.
Which is the Thread.
So this is what Threads is. And Threads will use your existing Instagram login, and when you sign up and use Threads, it will give you the option to automatically follow all of the people that you follow already on Instagram on Threads. So there's a little bit of momentum that they can potentially bring there to Threads to help make it compete with Twitter, because that's one of the challenges when you launch a new social network. You start with exactly 0 users and you have to build that up.
But in saying that, Meta has Instagram, as you say. I imagine that there are more users of Instagram than there are of Twitter. Is that right?
A lot more. I think we're talking maybe 1.6 billion users each month on Instagram, probably a quarter of that for Twitter.
You reckon it's going to take off? What are the odds, do you think?
It's really hard to say. I think it's quite difficult to launch a social network that is very similar to an existing social network. If you're not doing something that's really new and cutting edge, then that's a challenge. But of course, Instagram just has this big existing user base. So, I find it really hard to predict as to which way that's going to land. Are there enough dissatisfied Twitter users who will be very happy to kick it to the curb? Or do we have the challenge that Meta isn't a particularly well-trusted company already, because they've had their issues with privacy and so on in the past, and so would you give up Twitter for another company maybe you don't trust a lot more anyway? Why
would Meta want to build another platform? What is there to gain for Meta?
Well, they want to dominate, as much of the internet and as much of our time as possible. So the more time that you spend on their platforms, the more advertising, the more revenue that they will generate over time. And they are one of the world's biggest companies.
Just finally, and this is probably a broader question. So Elon Musk is now saying to Twitter users, once you get over a certain threshold, you have to start paying for each tweet that you send, right?
That you see.
That you see. So is this the end of where everything is kind of free? Is this the end of that? Will we see potentially other platforms moving in a similar direction?
Well, those limits, we're told they're temporary, but it's a really good question, because we are seeing this trend in that direction. You can now get verified and get a tick on Facebook and Instagram by paying for it. That's part of what you get with a premium subscription on Twitter, and we're seeing features over time likely to disappear more and more. And to get the best experience, we probably in the longer term, will need to be paying to use social media. And we look at other platforms like YouTube, for instance. I pay to get rid of the ads. It's a much better experience. And so I think we will end up with sort of this tiered user experience where at one level, yes, you can get in for free, but if you really want to get the best out of a platform, you're probably going to end up paying. Now, whether that's $1, $10, $20, how that sort of shakes out, probably we'll see, multiple tiers over time as well.
Yeah, well, we will see. Hey, Paul, brilliant. Thank you for being with us this morning. I'm not a Twitter user, so you made it simple for me to understand. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Paul Spain, Chief Executive of Gorilla HQ.